Faces. We are going to record the meeting this morning for those that can't be with us and just for anyone who wants the recording afterwards. But welcome. You've made your way into our Delaware Arts Alliance annual meeting. Per the bylaws of our nonprofit organization, we kick off every fiscal year, which is also the calendar year, with an annual meeting of our members. We also open that up to the public for anyone that wants to join to learn about the Delaware Arts Alliance. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into things. We have a full agenda for the hour. And Matt, I think I see your name on the call. Matt Silva with us.
It's really exciting to be taking over board leadership for Molly, who's done an amazing job for many years, and to be working alongside the rest of the board and Neil and Jordan, and working with all of you. It's a tremendously exciting time. If while I'm chatting a little bit, if you wouldn't mind just popping in the chat your name, the organization you're a part of, and what your medium is, if you're an individual artist, would love to be able to see everyone populate that and identify themselves. We'd appreciate that. But this is going to be a great meeting. The DA accomplished a whole lot in 2024, and so we'll go through and highlight some of those accomplishments and capture that momentum a bit. And then we'll talk a little bit about our strategic plan moving forward and our goals for 2025, and hear from you all. Leave some time at the end to hear from you all about questions or how you might be able to participate in those things. And as Neil's going through, of course, a big focus is the Create Plan, which many of you know a lot about. Some of you may know a little about. But Neil and Jordan will go through and give you some highlights and really capture the momentum that we have going into that. Like I said, a lot has been accomplished, and there's a lot yet to be accomplished. And so, if you'll indulge me, I'd love to sort of kick off with a little quote from Martha Graham. Many of you probably know who that is, famous choreographer. Martha was working with one of her pupils, Agnes DeMille, and Agnes, they were in correspondence back and forth with one another, and Agnes was getting really frustrated that she was getting sort of pigeonholed in the same type of choreography. And in this correspondence, Martha said to her, she wrote to her this, which I'd like to share with you all at the moment, I think is apt. She said, "There is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. You do not have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to keep open and aware directly to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. No artist is pleased. There is no satisfaction whatever at any time. There is only a queer divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive than others." I love that quote, and I go back to it often as an artist. I think the moments of joy that we have and the momentum we have right now to capture some things is really exciting. And I share that, and so that we can go back to it from time to time and just think about, how we keep moving forward and how we remain more alive than the rest. And that's the work that I'm excited to do with you all. Thanks, and let's have a great meeting.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate those intro comments. And thank you to everybody. We're up to 40 people on the call now who's introduced themselves in the chat. For the sake of time, we will not go around the horn and ask you to unmute and introduce yourself, but there will be time for comments in the chat and for questions at the end. So I think we can go on to the next slide, Jordan. And Matt, if you wouldn't mind just sort of reminding folks who the Arts Alliance is and what we're proud to accomplish last year as sort of our two kickoff topics.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this slide tells us a whole lot. In 2024, some of the wins, obviously, you see there that we launched the Create Plan, which was the first in the nation, a creative economy advancement and tourism expansion plan, which we'll go through a little bit more, and most of you are familiar with. We also championed a budget increase for the second year in a row with the state. So for the second year in a row, we successfully increased funding for Delaware Division of the Arts by $1 million. And we're already on the path to Joint Finance Committee joining in a couple of weeks and trying to move that forward for this year as well. Engage policymakers, so we convene the Arts and Culture Caucus, March for the Arts and the Education, and monthly calls with Lieutenant Governor. So we're working on moving those things forward into 2025 as well and strengthening those and fortifying them. And also strengthen the DAA operations. So updated our strategic plan and increased membership by 26%, which is a really great number. And there's plans and thoughts about how we can continue to grow that membership. So lots of big wins in 2024 and more things coming this year. And of course, really, we've reworked this a bit through the strategic plan. But the mission, the Delaware Arts Alliance, informs, empowers, and mobilizes our members, arts advocates, and policymakers to advance Delaware's vibrant, creative economy for our citizens. And the vision, the Delaware Arts Alliance will be the trusted coalition builder that champions a statewide culture of investment in the arts. The DAA will catalyze implementation of policies that advance a diverse creative economy, which will improve quality of life and address the civic, cultural, economic, educational, and social needs of Delaware's communities. So, not lofty at all.
And thank you to all of our members from last year who helped gave input throughout the course of our strategic planning process to get to that mission statement. Jordan, if you wouldn't mind going back one slide, I'll just underline for folks, you know, intentionally utilizing the word creative economy in our mission is one of the tweaks that we made, and acknowledging the arts have intrinsic value for us as humans, for us as communities, and also we want to intentionally be talking about things in economic terms. And for the first time, we're using language like coalition builder. We're calling out policymakers and the work we do with them as sort of intentional in our language. We heard from all of you last year that you see the Delaware Arts Alliance and the unique value add that we have in the landscape as sort of advocacy as our bread and butter. And so focus on advocacy work, on convening the sector, on having good policy and data. And that's really where we intend to continue focusing. And I think that's it for you, Matt. Thank you as incoming board chair for kicking off the meeting. I'll take things over from here and build on those 2024 wins and talk a little bit about where we're heading in 2025. My hope is you will all leave this meeting with a clear sense of like, all right, what is the DAA going to be focused on over the upcoming year? And to the extent that I want to be involved or want to mobilize my networks, sort of what are the opportunities ahead of us? Yes, Darren in the chat. Shout out to Freeman Arts Pavilion. Great photo. Thank you for many of you that submitted photos last year for the Create Plan. You'll continue to see them pop up. So on the next slide, Jordan, we spent the year while publicly releasing the Create Plan internally as the board of directors, refreshing our strategic plan, which was pretty out of date. We have that entire plan posted online and sent it to our members at the end of last year. Our key activities fall into three main buckets. The first is really internally focused. So determining, funding, and establishing the DAA infrastructure and essential processes. This includes having a more refined system of tracking our funder interactions, tracking our legislator interactions, tracking implementation of the Create Plan. It means doing the work of having functional board committees, having an engaged board of directors, doing a review of our finances, really sort of important internal work that will help us to succeed. The second big bucket of work is around maximizing the power and engagement of DAA membership, meaning all of you. We have in the past offered civic engagement and advocacy 101 trainings. We want to double down on that commitment to all of you to help you engage your boards, your volunteers, your staff, your networks around what it means to be an arts advocate. Also, as part of this bucket of work, we will be regularly communicating with all of you throughout the year, hopefully in ways that are digestible, action-oriented. So when you get an email from the Arts Alliance, you know, okay, this is something I should open and prioritize, and it has information for me as a member. And then the biggest bucket of work here is around the Create Plan. We're really organizing ourselves towards implementation of the recommendations in the plan, and really prioritizing continued communication and convening the sector and working with our elected officials, our policymakers around what they can do in office to help move forward the 25 recommendations in this plan. So on the next slide, we'll start to get into a little bit of the Create Plan implementation specifically. You will all remember from launching this last year, that we've set some lofty goals and why we're doing this. I want to always go back to why if we put forward this set of policy recommendations and data. And I'll let you just look at this slide here and perhaps pull out something that speaks to you or is motivating to you. For me, I'm particularly excited about this idea of collaboration, finding champions and allies in other sectors that maybe you don't immediately think of as the arts that are doing work with us or alongside us that could be potential partners or funders in the future. And on the next slide here, want to highlight some of the work that you were all involved with over the past year that really led to the Create Plan having such a great launching point. We spoke over the course of the year with nearly every elected official in the General Assembly, in the executive branch. We engaged over 200 advocates in a number of different activities like the ones listed and pictured here on the screen. If it weren't for all of you helping mobilize your networks towards action, we would not have launched the Create Plan and would not have had $1 million increase to the Division of the Arts for the second year in a row here. So mostly want to pause and say thank you for the work over the past year. And this will all continue into 2025. We will again be present in Legislative Hall, being your eyes and ears, testifying in front of the Budget Committee, engaging legislators through an Arts and Culture Caucus, preparing email campaigns and talking points that you all can use throughout the year. On the next slide here, I think it's important to acknowledge as we're looking ahead to the year that we're now in, um, just how much is unknown. Already in the past 6 weeks, many of you I've been on a Zoom call with or a phone call, and you've acknowledged to me um, the anxiety that can come with uncertainty, whether that's at the federal level, the state level, the local level. Perhaps it's unsure about the future of our funding or our relationships with elected officials, or there's new people in leadership. Um, I want to just like stop down and acknowledge that that's a reality that we're living in, but it's one we're living in together. And to the extent that you feel any anxiety or nervousness around those sort of known unknowns, I at least am reassured that our sector is well positioned due to the momentum that we've built over the past year. For the first time, having a sector-wide policy agenda and set of data, that as an alliance, our participation, our membership has grown in number and diversity over the past year, that we're welcoming into office a number of elected and appointed officials that have past involvement in the arts and have been champions for the work and have been involved with the alliance in the past. And success begets success often. To look at what we've done as an alliance over the past year, certainly there's no expectation that that means we will go away anytime soon, but just continue to learn lessons about what it means to be an advocate and how to push forward the wins that we're looking for. And so, with that in mind, as we enter 2025 with a policy agenda, with new elected officials in many important offices across the state, this really is a year for relationship building, for education and awareness building, and for feeling out opportunities for partnership. And that is work the Arts Alliance will be doing, us as staff and us as board members. But I also hope will be work that you consider doing in your capacity as an artist or leading your own arts organization. I can't underscore enough the importance of all of us building relationships with our elected and appointed officials. This sort of rising tide lifts all boats mantra really is true. And we're at a juncture where folks are coming into office excited about what the possibilities could be. And it's sort of our job to make sure the arts is a talking point for everyone. And lastly, I'll just say you're not alone in any feeling of like, oh, I've got to figure this out at my organization or in my neck of the woods. one of the benefits of being connected here through the Alliance is that you have a network of folks that are doing similar work across the state and can be thought partners that we'd be happy to connect you to. So with that, on the next slide, I just underscore, because this is a year of relationship building, of education and awareness, what are we going to be doing about that at the Arts Alliance? We are already coordinating meetings with all of our key policymakers. I will be inviting arts leaders to that as it makes sense to do so. In fact, as soon as this call ends, I'll be hopping on with legislators that are chairing the Arts and Culture Caucus. Next week, we meet with the Lieutenant Governor to talk about potential partnerships and opportunities. We'll convene with hopefully the Governor and Secretary of State after that and really determine their interest in the create plan recommendations. As much as we will come in saying, here are the recommendations, here are some potentials, here are some things that could have wide impact. It will depend on what our elected officials are interested in, where their interests lie, and where we can find some potential overlaps here. To help support us through this work, we are contracting for the first time with a government relations team, or lobbyist, if you will. And sorry for the typo here. It should just be 302 strategies, not 302 strategies, quotation backslash. And I'd love, if you're on the call, Lizzie Lewis, which I think you are, if you wouldn't unmute for a second and just say hi, and then I'll tag you at the end to add your commentary to this slide.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lizzie Lewis with 302 Strategies. I have on the call with me today Bria Greenlee, who is also with 302 Strategies. I just thank you for the opportunity to work with you all and Neil for this upcoming year. Very excited about the work that's coming up in the next couple of months. I'll add a little bit to, I know Neil's going to review about how best to engage legislators, and I'll add a little bit after he goes through the next couple of steps. But please feel free to always reach out to me, and I always tell people, don't be nervous when engaging with your legislative officials or the legislative process. I'm always happy to do a legislative 101 for anybody who might be interested in something like that. But Neil will again go over the next couple of items about how best to engage, and happy to help answer any questions after he reviews this.
Yeah, thanks, Lizzie. Thanks for introducing yourself. I mean, the decision to bring on a government relations partner is one the DAA board has been working on for a number of years and making sure we have the finances to do so. We see this decision programmatically as really essential given where we are politically, a new administration in the governor's office, at the county and city levels, new elected officials in the legislative assembly, a create plan that is creating a window for change here. We want to put as much capacity towards our efforts this year as we can. And Lizzie and her team have already been incredibly helpful advisors to us, and essential in helping us get some meetings. I was at the governor's inaugural ball last night and spoke to Lieutenant Governor, and she said, "How did you manage to get on my calendar before I was even like inaugurated into office?" And that's thanks to Lizzie and her team. So if you came to any of the Arts and Culture Caucus meetings or Lieutenant Governor calls last year, we will be doing the Arts and Culture Caucus, and we'll see what our new Lieutenant Governor is interested in. It might look different, throughout the year, and it depends on what her team is planning, but there will be opportunities for you all to interact with your elected officials over the course of the coming year. And in the meantime, if you are interested in participating in sort of this avenue of building relationship to the legislator, now is the perfect time to do that. Everyone in the General Assembly is back to work now. Their session just started the other week. And if you don't know your legislator, there is a link in the slides, which we can send out after the meeting or put in the chat, to learn who your legislators are. Everyone has a state senator and a state representative. And Jordan from the Arts Alliance, who I'll meet in a few minutes, has drafted a welcome back letter to legislators that's already created that you have the option of personalizing and sending to your legislator. Over the month of February, they will mostly not be in session because only the budget writing committee meets in Dover. And so folks will be back in districts, potentially available for a coffee, available to come to your arts organization. Perhaps they're hosting a constituent coffee, locally in their district. And so it's a really great time to just introduce yourself if you don't know them already, or reintroduce yourself and say congratulations and sort of expose them to the arts world. Lizzie, I know when we spoke, you had some thoughts on just the importance of this and how to make it easy. So I invite you to just add any other color to that.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. I will first start by underscoring where Neil started this presentation with is yes, there are a lot of unknowns right now in Delaware. We have a new governor, we have a new Speaker of the House, we have several new elected officials in the House, and more to come in the Senate over the next couple of weeks. That is both, creates a lot of uncertainty, but also creates a huge opportunity to build new relationships with legislators coming in, really get in front of them and start educating them on the importance of the creative economy in each of their districts. I think with this uncertainty, there's, of course, an opportunity. And the second piece we have going for us is the Create Plan. This is such a unique resource for an organization to have such detailed information on the impact that the creative economy has on everybody's district. It's very relevant right now, especially to new legislators who are getting to know their district, getting to know their constituency in their district. So really want to underscore again the opportunity we have in the next couple of months to both start building those relationships, especially with new leadership coming in and new legislators, but also the opportunity to educate them and provide resources using the Create Plan and that messaging to build those relationships. In Delaware, as we all know, we're a very small state. So your singular voice as a constituent in somebody's district can be hugely powerful in pushing along policy in Dover. I always try to emphasize that. And again, just going back to, my first point and what Neil went over a little bit, it's sometimes, you might not know completely the process of leg haul. Never be nervous about that. You don't have to be an expert in how a bill becomes a law. And I invite you to engage with your legislators at your comfort level. So whether that is following them on social media, looking them up, getting to know who they are, what's important to them, follow them on social media, friend them so you can receive their updates, receive their newsletters. You don't have to necessarily request a one-on-one, coffee, but I, encourage you to do that. That really helps, legislators get to know their constituents in their district. They always like to meet folks in their district. So if you have an event that you would invite your legislator to, that is also a really good approach to starting to build that relationship. And remember, they want to hear from their constituents, especially if there's something cool and exciting that they can promote happening within their district. So if you're not quite ready to do a one-on-one coffee, follow them on social media. If you want to reach out for a coffee, reach out for a coffee. If you'd like to join Neil and I in Leg Hall and meet them in person down in Dover, we invite you to do that. Please feel free again to reach out to either Neil or I to best understand, how to find out who your legislator is, what, your message is. Keep it light, keep it simple. Hi, I'm Lizzie. I live in your district. I work at XYZ. This creative economy, this Create Plan is very important to me and my colleagues. So you don't have to make it, complex when you're introducing yourself to your elected officials. And the last thing I'll just leave you with, I feel very encouraged about this new leadership coming in. I had the opportunity to go to the swearing in ceremony yesterday, and one of the phrases that was used during Matt Meyer's swearing in ceremony was have art at the heart of everything we do. And I thought that was so cool and so encouraging. We definitely, I think, have leaders coming in who really, really value the creative economy. They're looking for ideas, they're looking for recommendations from us, which is again why it's so important to socialize that create plan while it's topical, while it's fresh. While we have it and start building those relationships. And I'll just mention too, our new Speaker of the House, Mimi Minor Brown, her son is a dancer. He goes to Cab Calloway. She is very, very involved in the arts through her son. So there's a lot of opportunities, I think, working with the most diverse General Assembly that we've had in Delaware. There's a lot of folks down in Dover with young kids, school-aged children, who are very interested in the education piece around the arts, but also, again, in that creative economy in their district. So important things that I know you all have been advocating for years. And so just I look forward to working with you all. And I think we have some really, really exciting opportunities coming up that, Neil is already, of course, hitting the ground running with in Leg Hall. And please don't hesitate to reach out if I can be, helpful in your individual outreach to your members of the General Assembly.
Thanks, Lizzie, and welcome to the team. I'll encourage everyone. You can reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with Lizzie just so your inbox isn't inundated, and that way I can stay informed too and be helpful to all of you if you have questions about how to be an advocate. We're going to offer some trainings throughout the year. A few other ways you can get involved, is through our policy and advocacy committee, which you'll hear about in a bit. We do have a date already planned for March for the Arts, which is a day of advocacy in Dover, focused specifically on arts education. Many of you participated in that last year. We'll send out dates for the caucus meetings once I have them. And then on the next slide here, some other ways that you can immediately, begin talking about the Create Plan. We have some options for you. Well, again, we'll send all these links out after the meeting, but just want to make you aware, if you weren't, that we have talking points, questions you can ask elected officials, and have some social media content you can share. And for those of you that want to connect your story and the work you're doing to the Create Plan, we have a new form that we're launching where we ask all of you the work that you're doing in your neck of the woods, in your organization, so that we can help spotlight some of the connections and ways that the Create Plan is already being implemented across the state. So we'll have lots of time to talk legislative affairs over the course of the year and then save time at the end of this meeting. But I'm going to transition us now out of policy and advocacy shop talk into some member business. And so the next item on our agenda here really is looking at the board of directors for the Arts Alliance. This is a requirement of our bylaws that we elect our new board members at the beginning of each year. But before we do that, I just want to acknowledge the great work that's been done by 4 board members who are rolling off the board, who collectively have served a number of years, particularly Jennifer, Ariane, and Molly, who've all served more than 8 years on the board of directors. Ariane and Molly in leadership, and Molly as president over the past at least 6 years, championing us through the Create Plan launch. If you all could just join me in the chat in thanking Molly, Ariane, Michael, and Jennifer for their service and stepping up as arts leaders to help guide the sector and the organization through a number of changes, including hiring a new executive director. I'd like to think they did a good job of that. Getting us through the COVID pandemic, finding us the resources to develop the Create Plan, building the Arts and Culture Caucus. All of that happened during their tenure, and we're really in such good hands moving forward. So wanted to just stop down and say thank you to the 4 of you. And with that, the I don't know, there's a phrase here about like the river keeps moving or something like that. But we have new fresh blood to potentially welcome in. So I'll turn things over to the chair of our governance committee, Scott Thomas, who is also executive director of Southern Delaware Tourism, to introduce himself and talk us through an action we have for those of you on the call who have been members of the Arts Alliance to help us approve our slate of board members. So, Scott, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself.
Thank you, Neil, and good morning, everybody. And I don't know about you, but personally, this is, I think, the most exciting part of today's meeting. Um, I'm thrilled to kind of represent the government's committee. I know we've been doing a lot of work, and I wanted to thank everybody on the committee really for all their help. We spent a lot of time with the nominees and the vetting process that you see on the screen. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think this is an awesome slate of people of talent. I think, just to give you some background on the process, we tried to check a lot of boxes when bringing in this slate of nominees. Collectively, the individuals on this slate offer a wide array of experience and skills that benefit the efforts of the DAA Board of Directors. Among them, working in and understanding the needs of all three counties, particularly with a focus on building out Kent County representation. Another one is experience. There's a lot of experience from this slate in a wide variety of organization types, such as nonprofits, arts organizations, for-profit arts organizations, arts education, teaching, residency, and non-arts businesses that participate in the creative economy. Advocacy work, a big one, obviously, both with the DAA and on their own, including testifying to the legislator, writing op-eds, building relationships with elected officials, and attending advocacy days and arts and caucus meetings. A lot of these individuals are engaged in all of that, so that's we feel really good about that. Also supporting the development of the CREATE plan, which is at the center of so much of what our compass is right now. Community engagement captains, focus groups, host attendees, and/or launch event speakers all have been involved in this past year in one way, shape, form, or another. So, in addition to these individual backgrounds, the individuals you see on the screen here, in arts and advocacy, their experience aligns with the organization needs of the DAA as outlined in the strategic plan, including but not limited to nonprofit development and fundraising, building and supporting DAA membership, continued strengthening of key operations, and developing partnerships to implement the CREATE plan. So I'm really thrilled to present this slate. We all get to vote on them today. So Jordan, I think you have the link right there.
Yeah, I threw
It
the link
says
in the
right
chat.
there's this vote on slate of new board members. And so I guess we're gonna do that right now, right? We're gonna vote.
Yeah, give people a second to do it now, and also we'll leave this open through the end of the week, just so that we can keep moving in terms
Okay.
of the content of the meeting. The only other thing I'll add, thank you, Scott, is just a thank you to those who stepped up and agreed to serve in this volunteer capacity as a board chair. Most of these folks are on the call today. And for others that, our board has been talking to about volunteer service, if this is not the year and potentially next year, and we also have plenty of committees and other ways to get involved throughout the year. So there's no shortage of leadership opportunities for those that are seeking to grow in their capacity as an arts advocate and a sector leader. We're a big tent here. And so I just wanted to say thank you and put that plug out there also. So the link is in the chat. Again, that's available if you're a current member organization. You should see your name as a drop down. If there's any technical issues, just let us know in the chat. But feel free to go in and do that now after the meeting, and then we'll leave it open through the end of the week. And I think with that, thank you, Scott. We will move on to our next item of member business. We always want to give an update on the organization's finances. So I will welcome in Pam, to our treasurer, to introduce yourself and do that, please. And I think I saw Pam on the call, but maybe now I'm doubting myself. She was on a second ago. Why don't I give the update then, and if she rejoins, she can do that. On behalf of Pam, update on the organization's finances, and thank you. There's a number of finance committee members on the call also, so feel free to chime in if there's anything that I miss. Overall, the Finance Committee met 2 or 3 times over the course of the past year and reports out really positive fiscal health for the organization. Overall, the DAA as a nonprofit has an operating budget of just under $230,000, not including the $1 million federal grant that we've been implementing over the past year. With that budget, we have a full-time staff of 2 people. Hopefully, it feels like more, the amount of work that we're doing or that you interact with us. Um, and this is the last year of utilizing that restricted federal funding for the CREATE plan. We do have a balance remaining over this year that we intend to put toward an extended communications campaign and some training opportunities to help artists, to help arts leaders, to help business leaders really understand what's in the CREATE plan, come on board with supporting the vision and the effort, utilizing the information in there for their own, advocacy purposes. And that is stuff we'll all begin rolling out in the next month or two. Just other like big ticket items in addition to sort of staff and the CREATE plan. Programmatically, we'll continue to sponsor Arts and Culture Caucus meals for legislators. Like that is a low lift and a way that our funding can go to sort of engaging our elected officials. And then certainly bringing on 302 Strategies is the biggest new expense for us this year. And really excited to have worked with them to find a price that's reasonable for us to be able to do. All of that is supported by a mix of revenue that includes philanthropic dollars, state partnerships and contracts and grants, and then individual contributions, and then lastly, our membership dues. And so most of you on the call have been with a dues paying member organization over the past years. Thank you for that. That funding allows us the flexibility to hire a lobbyist and do other things that the other grant dollars don't allow us to do. And so, just like the last 2 years, we're going to kick off the dues process here in Q1, and Jordan will talk about that in a second. But if finance is something that interests you and you want to get more involved, this finance committee over the year will be continuing to develop multi-year cash flow statements for us, really looking at strengthening our investment and cash flow policies and looking at how we can diversify our revenue sources. And so if that is work that interests you, know that that is an available volunteer opportunity for you. And with that, I think we're ready for the next item here, Jordan. Which I think
Well,
is
hi.
you.
Yeah.
And please introduce yourself for those who don't know you, and I'll give you the floor, and I can put any links in the chat that you want me to.
Okay. Yeah, hi, I'm Jordan. If we haven't met yet, I'm the new Engagement and Operations Coordinator for the Delaware Arts Alliance, and I'm based out of Dover. And I'm really excited to be here and, building upon all of the great work that has happened with the Arts Alliance, including recruiting our existing member organizations. I'm excited to share that this year we were at a total of 50 member organizations. So we have a strong network of people throughout the state working together with us. But now it is time to start the renewal process for returning members and new member organizations. So if you're a returning member, please complete this renewal form. We have the deadline being February 28th, but it really is the sooner the better because, as Neil said, there's a lot of legislative action taking place currently, and the sooner we can make sure to get your information updated, the sooner we can really start engaging you with the efforts we have underway. And you might remember the renewal form is very similar to the one from last year. It should only take about 15 minutes to complete. And if you are,
15, right, Jordan? 50, 15, not 50.
yeah, only about 15 minutes, 15. And it would probably even take you less if you have the information ready. So please note, to make the process quicker, if you have ready your operating expense budget or your expense total for Q1 of this year, updated contact info for your key contacts. And if our website doesn't already have it, or if anything's changed, having an updated company logo in PNG or JPEG would help to speed up your renewal form process. The new member form, this will be for organizations that have not previously been a member of the Arts Alliance. This form is a bit longer because it's capturing that information for the first time, but wanted to keep it available because it's a really great time to join. Because again, you'll be engaged all year now with our efforts with our member organizations. And if you're not sure if you were a member or which form to fill out, when you visit the returning members renewal form, you'll see a drop-down list of our current organizations. If your organization is not on that list, go ahead and complete the new member form. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we can double check. But if your organization's not appearing on the renewal, it would be best to do the new member. Um, And yeah, you can also view a list of all of our current members on delawareartsalliance.org/member-organizations, or navigate through to our website. But really excited to have so many strong partnerships throughout the state.
And I'll say, Jordan, before we move on to the next slide, this image on the left that you designed for us this year, I put in front of legislators, I put in front of the Secretary of State this past year as a visual reminder of sort of the diversity and strength of our group. And it stopped them in conversation to like look at it and be impressed by sort of the diversity. Also, they commented on, artistically, it's like a lot of great visual logos here. So this is power in numbers, strength in numbers, and we're going to continue to do more of this, of promoting your names, your organizations as part of the Arts Alliance to just show our strength moving forward.
Yeah, and I think similar to that, wanted to take some time to say, what is a member organization? And I think the big takeaway is that our member organizations are inclusive of all different types of, you know, like models of business, whether you're a nonprofit, a for-profit, or a school education group, whether you're a large group, a small group, and whether you're like directly related to the arts or kind of on the outs or not the out, but you're related to the arts in a different way. Um, you're still contributing to the creative economy as a whole, and we'd still be really happy to work together to have you shape our efforts, advocate for more opportunity and participate in that collective action that we need to all together build the more vibrant creative economy. But again, just really want to emphasize that everyone is welcome, and I'm happy to talk more about if you might be a good fit and what we can offer you, but just want to be sure to highlight that we're inclusive to everyone. And then piggybacking off of this, here's some of the opportunities that our member organizations have access to. So this really, as a whole, depending on what your areas of interest are, it helps us build your influence and achieve the shared goals that we have for your organization and the sector as a whole. There are 4 different examples here, but altogether they'll represent the ways that we make advocacy easy in Delaware and help get you involved with these sector-wide efforts we've been talking about. Because we recognize that everyone has a unique talent and perspective to offer, and we really want to help you find your platform and feel charged with the resources that you need to make a change. So here's just a brief snapshot. We also have a one-page summary on our membership and member benefits I'll share with you guys at the end of the call. And you're always welcome to contact us to get more information. But this highlights some of our trainings, plannings, and the advocacy work that we do. And then lastly, if this area of conversation has been interesting and you have some ideas of how we can further develop the goals and the systems that we have to serve your member organizations, as well as encouraging other organizations and other arts leaders to join us. Please feel free to express interest in joining our new membership committee. You can, when you do your membership renewal or first time membership form, there's an option to say whether you're interested in serving on any committees. So you can either select this there, or you can send an email to Neil and we'll help get you connected for your next steps. Um, but yeah, I think that's everything I have for membership at the moment.
Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate that. And you do such a great job of facilitating this. And thank you, Vanessa, for the shout out in the chat. Vanessa and a few other folks in the fall helped advise us on language around our membership, sort of making sure it's inclusive and connected to what you all need. And again, we're going to try this out this year, membership committee, if there's interest and if there's impact. I'm the sort of person, like, I don't want a ton of working groups and task force and committees if it's not impactful and helpful. And so I think this is one where we can have a few strategic meetings over the course of the year and really get some great work done, make some connections across the sector. So on the topic of committee membership, I think our last slide here before questions is Suzanne. So Suzanne, I think I saw your name on the call. If you wouldn't mind unmuting and just speaking sort of to your experience as a former committee member, volunteer, turned board member, turned leadership, just sort of the value in all of that, um, please.
Thank you. I'd like to first thank you, Neil and Jordan, and Matt for your leadership. And you can see here the different persons that are leading our different committees. And what a better time than now to join a committee. And I can tell you that I sort of stumbled in to DAA. I joined what was then called the lead committee, didn't have a background in policy, really wasn't clear on what was going on. At that time, Jessica Ball was the executive director. She moved on to DDOA. And then, yes, Neil, one of the best things that we could have done was to hire you. And you've made all the difference in leadership and working with Jessica in DDOA. So I started in this lead committee, and when Jessica left, I was voted in as vice president, still needing to learn. And I'll say that probably it won't stop, right? Especially when we're looking at the CREATE plan. And as you heard from Neil, and I'll stand behind this, that we are engaged folks. We are our members. We want you to be an active part of what we're doing. And if you are concerned about knowing more about policy, how you can support the arts in different meetings, and be an advocate, as Neil brought up, I wouldn't be concerned at all. I think it was Lizzie who said, we can start at any point, and that we will help you to be a member and to be a committee leader. It's up to all of us. And this is one of the best things that I've done in my career, is to be a part of DAA leadership.
Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate those comments. And again, if folks are interested in this sort of volunteer opportunity, you can express interest in the membership form when you fill it out, or just shoot me an email, and happy to plug you in. And all of these groups meet only a few times a year. And there are also other sort of ad hoc opportunities to help weigh in on things that will pop up. So I think the last thing I'll say before we open it up to any questions on the next slide here is just a reminder of what we've talked about already, since we have covered a lot. So if you wouldn't mind going to the last slide here, Jordan, Jordan will shoot this out as a follow-up email just to summarize everything we've talked about for the last hour. Priorities for us all. One, if you could please vote on our board members today or the next few days. If you could please do the membership form if you're interested in that, ideally as soon as possible, but at the very latest at the end of February. And then lastly, a reminder to connect with your legislators in a way that feels comfortable and manageable for you. And if you have questions about that, there should be a space in the renewal form or the membership form to list that out. If you want a meeting with us or on the topic, we can help you through that. So that's our meeting in a nutshell. I think we managed to save 10 minutes for questions. And so I'm happy to field as many as I can before I have to go meet with legislators at 11. And if folks have questions after 11, Jordan is able to stay on the call for anything that maybe we maybe can't cover. So feel free, if you have questions, unmute and raise them or throw them in the chat for us. Okay, I take no questions as a sign. We did either a horrible job or a wonderful job, and there's really no middle ground. But I will just give a few more seconds of hang time here. Oh, Jordan, thank you for pulling these up. Folks did ask questions on the registration form as follows, and Jordan prepped some answers for us all. So if these were your questions, these are your answers. Um, Connections to existing grant opportunities. We're not a grant making body, but we know who is. Um, we are also happy to be hosted for a meeting with your organization at your board, at your conference. Happy to connect you to other arts organizations and leaders. If we haven't gotten coffee lately, happy to sit down and do that. The more I know about you and your organization, the better Jordan and I can make connections between other arts leaders with policymakers, sort of speak about the needs of the sector. So happy to do all of that. Okay, thank you for the positive affirmation in the chat. There was a question about my email address, and I will throw it in the chat for us all. And if there's nothing else, I guess, is there anything I missed, Jordan or Matt or Suzanne?
No, quite thorough, as someone noted. Good work.
All right, Matt, I think blessed unrest was the quote you started us off with. I'm just gonna like keep that in mind as we exit the call here too. Let's start the new year off strong. We'll be in touch about all of the upcoming opportunities and just thank you in advance for your continued partnership and participation. It's truly such a pleasure to get to show up and have this be my job, to work with all of you and on behalf of all of you. And so, hey, here's to it. We'll continue to work together. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk soon. Oh, that was fun to see you all wave at the same exact time. That was a great choreography, everybody.